Ajasinka Baba Lola has been announced as the president-elect of Rotary International for 2026-2027. Yeah, this contained the press release signed by Ibil Semenitari, the Rotary Public Image Coordinator, African Zone 22 region.
National Economic Council approves plans to boost polio vaccination, unveils renewed hope strategy.
The progress so far made has shown that epidemiological data is on a downward trend.
Nigeria Immigration Service announces new rates for Nigerian standard passports effective from September 1st.
Yelwater attack. Federal government files charges against terror suspects.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine the emerging trends in reproductive health.
You know, reproductive health in Nigeria is fast becoming more than just a medical issue. It is a social, cultural, and even economic conversation, with women of reproductive age making up about half of our population. The choices people make around their bodies indeed affects all of us.
Well said. It may be your body, but of course, like you have said, it affects everyone. And the trends are changing, from men now selling their sperms to women selling their eggs to teenage girls, some not yet married, going for family planning options. Now, the story of reproductive health is evolving right before our eyes.
Now, add to that, the growing demand for assisted reproductive technologies, and you have a landscape that is raising new questions about how we think of fertility, family, and indeed the future.
So today on the program, we would explore these trends. Why are they happening? What challenges do they bring? And what opportunities do they create for individuals and for our society?
We will also be hearing from doctors, policy experts, and stakeholders who are already shaping this conversation. So sit tight as we navigate these sensitive but important issues together. I am Victor, as a welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And I'm Ian Ray John. We're live on the network service of the NTA. The newspaper review is just ahead. But for now, let's have the morning news. And Musa Abubakar is ready to deliver. Musa, good morning to you.
Good morning to the both of you. And here's the news. The National Economic Council at its 151st meeting has approved a proposal to strengthen polio vaccination coverage, which has increased from 81 to 84%, with focus on routine immunization. The Council also approved the implementation of Renewed Hope Medium-Term Plan 2026 to 2030.
The progress so far made has shown that epidemiological data is on a downward trend from about 78 cases in 2024 as at the 33rd week, which is the week of our last meeting in August.
The chairman CEO Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri Erewa, has praised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva for their commitment to fostering cultural ties between Africa and its diaspora. Dabiri Erewa stated this at the cultural and heritage event held in the legislative chambers of Brazil, which highlighted Soyinka's Return to Africa project, symbolizing a spiritual and cultural reconnection with African roots. The NIDCOM boss outlined the significance of the heritage dialogue and future, symbolized by the historic Door of Return Festival project in Lagos as a symbol, or has a symbolic gateway connecting the diaspora back to their motherland, historically, spiritually, and economically. Professor Wole Soyinka and CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso underlined the practical impact of new direct flights between Nigeria and Brazil as a game changer for business and cultural exchanges. The sideline event formed part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state visit to the Brazilian capital, Brasilia. Now, the Nigerian Immigration Service has announced an upward review of fees for Nigerian standard passports effective 1st September 2025. In a statement by the Service Public Relations Officer, Akinshola Akinlabi, the review applies only to applications made in Nigeria. The new rates are 100,000 naira for the 32-page passport with 5-year validity and 200,000 naira for the 64-page passport with 10-year validity. The statement adds that applications by Nigerians in the diaspora remain unchanged at $150 for the 32-page with 5-year validity and $230 for the 64-page with 10-year validity. The lingering demands of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, may soon receive fresh attention as the federal government inaugurated a high-powered technical committee to review and address the concerns. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, discloses this in Abuja while briefing the media on current developments in the education sector. Some stakeholders welcome the move but urge government to ensure timely implementation to avert another disruption of academic activities.
We would review this, and now once we finalize our own proposal to ASU, we'll give that proposal, a counter proposal to Alhaji Yahya Ahmed Committee to take to ASU, and then ASU would talk and deliberate and will come back to us.
The Department of the State Service, DSS, has filed at the Federal High Court, Abuja, 6 separate charges against terror suspects who carried out deadly attacks on the people of Yalwata village in Guma local government area of Benue State, which left several people dead and others injured. Although the 6 charges involve 9 suspects apprehended through intelligence gathering by DSS operatives. 2 of them are, however, charged to court on 4 counts charges in relation to the Yalwata massacre. They are Haruna Adamu and Muhammad Abdullahi of Awi local government area of Nasarawa State, who were alleged, among others, are still at large. The offense is said to be contrary to the punishable under Section 12 of Terrorism Prevention Act 2022. The DSS in the charge also accused the 2 defendants of concealing information on the planned attack of terrorism and killings in Abinsi and Yelwata villages between June 13th and 14th. In the charge filed by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Muhammad Abubakar, on behalf of the federal government, the two defendants were also accused of engaging in a conduct in preparation to commit a terrorism act with Musa Beniyon Bako Malowa, Ibrahim Tunga, Asara Anadu, Legu Musa, Adamu Yale, Bodi Ayuba, and Pure Damina, and others still at large. Two other suspects, Takende Shua and Amos Alide of Guma local government area of Benue State, were slammed with a 3-count charge for allegedly carrying out reprisal attacks against the terror suspects involved in Abinsi and Yelwata. In another charge, a 32-year-old woman, Halima Haliru Umar of Faskari local government area of Katsina State, was slammed with a 4-count charge of concealing information about one Alhaji Sani, a suspected gun runner, bandit and kidnapper. The DSS slammed another 6-count charge against one Silas Idu Oloche of Agatu local government area of Benue State for unlawful possession of 18 firearms without a license, contrary to 3 and punishable under Section 27 of the Firearms Act. There were others caught with firearms who have been charged to court by the federal government. No date has been fixed for the trial of the suspects in the charges filed. Nigeria's Yinka Baba Lola has been announced as the president-elect of Rotary International for the 2026-2027 year. This is contained in the press release signed by Ibim Semi-Nitari, the Rotary Public Image Coordinator, African Zone 22, Region 27. Babalola becomes only the second African and second Nigerian to lead the global humanitarian body after Jonathan Maji-Yagbe in 2003. A member of the Rotary Club of Trans-Amadi, he was chosen following the resignation of Sanku Yoon and will assume office on July 1st, 2026. Joining Rotary in 1994, Babalola has served as a district governor, Rotary International vice president, and on the End Polio Now campaign. He is also an advisor to Nigeria's Poliopolus Committee. Beyond Rotary, he is an engineer and attorney with over 25 years in the oil and gas sector, including senior roles with Shell across 4 continents. He currently runs Riviera Services Limited, the lead and change consulting. Babalola's service has earned him global honors, including the African Sentinel Heroes Award and Rotary's Service Above Self Award. His election is being widely celebrated across Nigeria and Africa as a proud milestone of continental leadership. Now, the new Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Rotimi Pedro, says the organization is poised towards propagating the sports economy agenda of the federal government through effective collaboration with relevant stakeholders in the sports sector. This follows his interaction with board members of the Nigerian Premier Football League, led by Chairman Benga Aligbili, who visited the organization in Abuja.
And NTAs are number 1 television. Let there be those contents that how we want to watch. Then younger generation, my children, the Gen Z generation, will have something to watch in NTA. Then NTA can compete fairly with other TV stations in the world.
So we're hoping to be able to help you grow or the work that you've done in the last 3 years to take it to the next level together with you. Because it's not, it's less of a commercial assignment, but it's more of a national assignment.
Well, those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues after the break.
Nivea Black and White deodorant, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat and odor. 120 dances with skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain and odor protection. Nivea Black and White deodorant. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Have you been aspiring to be a student of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to no avail? Worry no more, as you can gain entry through NTA Television College Jos, an affiliate of the renowned Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, where eligible candidates with a JAMB admissible scores of not less than 180 and 100 scores, and with 5 credits O-level in social sciences including English and mathematics, can turn their passion in broadcasting to profession by applying for a BSc in Mass Communication and MBTE approved innovation diploma courses in film and television production, broadcast journalism and television engineering respectively. The college, as a training hub with a pedigree of professionalism in the media space, also offers specialized courses in other related fields. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or contact 08033 834-343 and 08069-809-897. Announcer Management.
Are you ready? Join us on Reshaping Democracy, a groundbreaking program on the network service of the NTA, where citizens get the chance to ask ministers, heads of ministerial departments, agencies, and other top government officials questions on their performance and delivery of mandates. With no sector of limits, conversations build around bridging communication gaps for feedback and effect as our guests engage with the people they serve.
How does ND foster partnerships with organizations, government agencies, NGOs, among others?
As our leaders give account to citizens' inquiries on good governance, tune in to Reshaping Democracy, a creative concept coming up every Tuesday evening at 10:05 p.m.
This is Reshaping Democracy.
We're not in a romantic relationship, we're in a dash.
Brotherly relationship.
Friends with benefits.
Yeah, very bad boy.
No. Family relationship.
Who be your family?
Situationship.
Are you in a situationship?
It is well.
Survey says... Hey!
Onenge is my girlfriend.
You want dodge? Thank God. Say I hacked. An oversized shirt is okay to wear, but an oversized dash isn't.
Skirts.
Bra.
Shop. Wow.
Pants.
Whoa. Name something you add to your text to make them more interesting.
Emojis.
Stickers. Pictures.
The way my back at the breathing, at the yara.
Gifts.
Survey says.
My birthday.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthened in unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
All right, thank you for staying with us. It is time for newspaper review just after this timeout.
right, Chukwudi Okolie Ugbaja is right here with us for the papers review. Many thanks for joining us, Chukwudi. How you doing?
I'm okay. I think I'm looking forward to the weekend. I think I am. I'm not creaking in the wrong places. Don't let your mind go there. I just want to have a
Robert, I see
normal
the
rest.
smile on your face.
Good morning, my dear Yeri.
I see the smile on your face. So
Victor.
you should look forward to the weekend.
I like your sartorial outlook. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeri.
All right, let's look at what the papers have this morning. We'll begin with the Business NG. And the Business NG has very interesting stories this morning. The lead one says Nigerians lose 6.98 naira on each failed USSD. Above the masthead, El Rufai, I won't contest in 2027, but we must remove oppressors. That's on page 2. Minister sets up pro panel on Abuja Kaduna train derailment. You can also find that on page 2 of the Business NG. And looking below the major story on the front page of the Business NG this morning, we have Ojulari alleges threats over NNPCL reforms. And finally, ASU to federal government end delayed taxes or face nationwide shutdown. All right, so that's the much I can take from the Business NG. But of course, there are other stories. A copy would do you good. All right, let's look away from the Business NG now and see what the Daily Times has. The Daily Times leads with Chief of Army Staff raises concerns over drug abuse among soldiers in conflict zones. And below the picture story, we have battle for mining site. Officer gunned down as police civil defense clash in Ebonyi. Voter registration meaningless without electoral judicial reforms. That's according to Atiku. Insecurity. G7 states move to curb rising cross-border criminal networks. ADC queries INEC over alleged inflated voters registration figures in Southwest. That's on page 11. And of course, the breaking story in the red strip at the bottom of the front page of the Daily Times this morning is Nigerians to pay more for passports as Nigeria Immigration Service raises fees to 100,000 naira, 200,000 naira. All right, Victor.
All right, thank you, Henry. And I have the blueprint just above the nameplate. NEC launches renewed hope plan to fast-track $1 trillion economy. You can get details of that on page 6. And just below the nameplate, Governor Nasir appoints 58-year-old Sanusi Sami. New Emir of Zuru is on page 9. In business, Access Holdings appoints Innocent Ike, substantive GMD CEO. That's on page 23. And in sports, Bafana coach announces final squad for Super Eagles Cracker. You get details of that on page 32. And what looks like the major headline here, FG has no signed deal with ASU on 2009 agreement. That's according to Alausa, Minister of State Health, says government won't settle for deal not tenable, sustainable. You are wrong, varsity teachers, reply minister. All right. And coming down the line, tension in Niger as troops kill 50 bandits. Criminals flee to Zungeru. Will intensify operations in Katsina, Niger. Others, that's credited to the Chief of Army Staff. And the strip on the right, NNPCL under attack, Ojulari tells Pengasan. Union thumbs up ongoing reforms. And the last three at the bottom of the page, Ubasani recalls workers fired by El Rufai, pays 500 million naira salary arrears, is on page 16. Dangote Group, Ethiopia signed agreement to build $2.5 billion fertilizer plant, page 22. Ex-Senate President Saraki's kinsmen celebrate first SAN, National Mosque Imam, is on page 7. And finally, Tinego, FG gifts outstanding Nigerian students cash rewards. You get details of that on page 9. Chukwudi.
It has become the seesaw that became the jigsaw, ASU FG. You know, people will tell you that some complaints run on and on and on. You begin to think whether the contestants are not getting tired of contest. Anyway, at the end of the day, what we want is a return of normality to the citadels, to the institutions concerned. It's always good to talk and talk and talk. I keep saying to myself and whoever cares to listen, if dialogue ends almost all the conflicts in the world, why don't we start it in all earnest in time? The problem with this ASU federal government matter is that anytime they mention it, it's as if they're back to square one, so you don't know what to think anymore. But they can still sort it out. It depends on them. Did El Rufai say he's not contesting in 2027? But he wants oppressors removed.
Yes.
Who are the oppressors?
Good question.
I didn't come here mischievous this morning, but you know a journalist, the way he thinks. You know, not that they like trouble.
To ask him.
But when trouble happens, we report on it. Now, quickly, he says he doesn't want oppressors to continue. What was the other thing you read? The man who succeeded him, what did he do? He recalled how many people who were sacked by him and paid them 500 million naira salaries. You know? And some people tell you, the man who took over from him has somehow managed to return peace to southern Kaduna. You know? Politicians, you don't understand them. Everybody seems to make their own argument the way it fits them. So we leave them to talk like politicians.
But why did he sack them? Are they the ones who, are they the teachers, for instance, who couldn't pass basic tests?
Yes, okay, fine. You're saying you might have had...
You have to put it in perspective.
Yes, you might have had a case against them. But then say, soldier come, soldier go. One governor sack, one governor reinstate. They're all governors. So leave them, they know what they're doing. Okay? I just thought that I had discordant notes somewhere and trust a journalist, you know. You mentioned tension in Niger. As troops kill 50 bandits, criminals flee to Zungeru. Now, we have two issues to deal with here. First of all, bravo to our gallant troops. Good riddance to bad rubbish. But the people are fleeing. You know why? They are afraid that when the soldiers have come and done what they should do to free their lives, they may not have staying power there because duty calls elsewhere. And when they leave, these people might return to torment them. So what we need to plead with our forces to do is to follow up the action and ensure that these men without a conscience do not come to terrorize the people again.
Of course, and you know, to add to that is the alarm by the Chief of Army Staff. I'm sure you saw that over drug abuse among soldiers in conflict zones. That needs to be checked because, I mean, it would not be right to see, you know, soldiers using substances that, you know, can make them act in ways.
The matter is not helped by the superstition we have been carrying from primary school. Say, get to, before soldier go war, they go give him a make his smoke and all that, you know. But I'm happy to hear that the CDS, the Chief of Army Staff is saying, is talking against drug abuse. That means that we were misinformed about soldiers. Take a lesson from little things that drop, you know, like into a circumstance like this.
Yeah, of course.
We thought soldiers must be made abnormal before they will be able to kill at the war.
Normally.
You know?
Anyways, we need to go. The producer says it's almost time. But of course, we must talk about this. Nigerians to pay more for passports. 100,000 naira for the 5-year 32 page, right? And then 200,000 naira.
They sent you to torment me. No problem.
Not exactly.
The young shall grow. It's not Chooks the boy you guys call me. We'll get older. And
no, but what are your thoughts? Victor, I want to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, but fine. The truth is that the price of everything has risen. And the passport is not ordinary paper. It's almost like what you used to make the money. The material for doing that does not come ordinarily, does not come cheap.
Victor, why are you
But
quiet?
you are still going to say, does that help us encourage people to buy it? You have to find an equilibrium somewhere. we have to meet somewhere at the center there. That's what I think, because it sounds a bit on the high side to me.
When I heard about it, my first thought was, how much do a civil servant earn?
Yeah, asked me for
70,000
my
naira.
opinion. I don't have my opinion. I can give you facts. I know that some 2 years ago, the 32-page passport was about 26,000 naira, and then it was increased to 35. At that time, I think the 10-year passport was about 50,000 naira. It became 70,000, so 3570. And then from 3570, it became 50,100. And then from 50,100, it became 100,200. It's become 100,200 now. So all of these have happened within 2 years.
Yes.
These are the facts. My opinion, well, I don't have one, but this is an identity. It's a national identity, really, which you expect that even the ordinary man should be able to afford.
You're looking for
Can they
subsidy,
afford it at 100, at 200? I don't know.
I think we have to meet somewhere. It can be a little affordable. That's my opinion. It's opinion.
All right. I think we need to leave the conversation at this point. Many thanks, Chukudi. Have a swell weekend. And
You too.
I hope to see you next week, of
Thank you.
course. So we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll get into our conversation. Stay with us.
Nivea Black and White Deodorant, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat and odor. 120 dances with skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain and odor protection. Nivea Black and White Deodorant. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Food security is national security. And where there is hunger, then the insecurity in that particular country will continue to remain. And so it is in everybody's interest, not just the government interest, but the private sector as well, to ensure that we have a very good agricultural policy that drives sustainable growth and then progress, of course, in its implementation. One of the things that we were doing and we stopped doing as a country is the operations of the storage facilities, the storage infrastructure, all the way to logistics, talking about farm mechanization, the vehicles that we need. The feeder routes, the construction of the feeder routes. The feeder routes are so called because they are not A-trunk roads. They are farmstead roads. I believe that if a considerable investment can go into the construction of feeder roads, then our machines, our transportation equipment would be a lot more efficient. There will be a lot of uptime, less downtime, and we will be able to, on good time, transport our produce from farm gate to either factory gate or market gate. Let us look at how we can make a dual use of our farm mechanization equipment so that when a tractor in the planting season takes a plow, a harrow, and it's able to prepare land, during the harvest and post-harvest season, you should be able to attach a bucket to that tractor to be able to take it to the nearest center where it can then be taken on. These are short and medium-term measures that we can take to boost productivity. We need to ensure that agriculture is practiced in the most acceptable and modern way possible. We need to make sure that the science of agriculture is indeed science. In other words, we are able to apply methods, we are able to apply resources into grain agriculture, so that when we are fully migrated away from hoes and cutlasses and all of these menial tasks, which, by the way, have formed some impression in the mind of these young people, they would then be able to see how enjoyable and how profitable agriculture can be. We've seen a lot of digitization of the sector there is digitization of agriculture today. We have precision agriculture. We also have climate smart agriculture. All of these, of course, hydroponics, greenhouse agriculture, and all of these are actually a better way, a more excellent way of producing food in an organic manner, but a lot more smartly.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. And to begin our conversation this morning, which is on emerging trends in reproductive health, let's take a look at this background report put together by Ibrahim Dan Hamidou.
A disturbing trend is emerging in Nigeria's reproductive health landscape. A growing market for eggs, sperm, and other reproductive services is targeting vulnerable populations, including young students and low-income individuals. Brokers are offering quick cash to these individuals in exchange for their gametes, often without proper medical oversight or legal protection. This unregulated market poses significant health risks to donors, including repeated stimulation cycles and inadequate counseling. Recipients and children born from these arrangements also face uncertain legal protections. The lack of a uniform national law governing assisted reproductive technologies leaves oversight fragmented and inconsistent. Law scholars and reproductive health experts warn that without urgent regulation, exploitation will increase and health harms could be long-term. Several academic reviews and policy papers urge the establishment of a regulatory framework for assisted reproductive technologies and stronger patient protections. As Nigeria debates new bills on surrogacy and assisted reproductive technologies, the choices made now will determine whether the country protects vulnerable donors, clarifies legal parentage, and ensures ethical clinical practice, or allows a shadow industry to flourish. On Good Morning Nigeria, experts in reproductive health will discuss the risks, the reforms needed, and what this means for young Nigerians and families. Join us as we explore this critical issue and its implications for Nigeria's future.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Hamidou, for that background report. We do have a serious conversation on our hands. And joining us to begin that conversation on emerging trends in reproductive health, let me introduce first here in the studio, Dr. Ibrahim Wada, who is Chief Executive Officer, NISA Premier and Gariki Hospitals. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria. Pleased to be very happy to be here.
All right, many thanks, Doctor. Also here is Dr. Ejike Orji. He's the Chairman, Management Committee Association for the Advancement of Family Planning and CSO Focal Points FP 2030. Also the convener, 5 Million Women Database. Good morning, Doctor.
Morning, Vero.
Why women? Why 5 million women?
I'm only interested in women.
Really?
Maybe that's why we sat you here.
Yes, I'm so excited I'm still next to her.
All right, let's begin this conversation. And, I'd like to start with Dr. Wada, who is interested in men as well.
Both sides.
But how significant are these new trends? You know, women selling eggs, men selling sperm, and young ladies embracing, reproductive, trying to check their reproduction and all of that. How serious, and what are the implications for Nigeria?
Well, first of all, thank you for this program because you're trying to open up the minds of people. But it's a serious threat as far as I'm concerned. The reason is lack of regulation. The reason is poor knowledge in a proportion of the practitioners, and then lack of understanding of the rights of the women who are getting into this path. in Nigeria, to try to stem this negativism, we have formed an association of practitioners in reproductive health called AFRH, Association for Fertility and Reproductive Health. This is self-regulation in the presence of a vacuum where, you know, people can just start as they wish with very little training, with very little monitoring. And what is their watchword? How much gain can we make out of this? And the consideration of the rights of the women involved is less important. That is why we formed the self-regulation guidelines for practitioners. About half of the practitioners in this country, and I'm talking of about 120 medical clinics involved in assisted reproduction, but only half of them are even members of our association. Because the association members are scared. We are watching like a hawk and making sure people follow the kind of self-regulation guidelines we've instituted. But that's not enough. What about the other half? They are, you know, practicing in an unregulated environment. Everywhere in the world, the reproductive health involves these aspects. Let us not think it's a Nigerian problem alone. It is not. However, because of the risk of being abused and those who are needing the services, for example, women who need donor eggs, men who need donor sperms, and as well as those who need surrogacy, for example, their backs are to the wall. They can be exploited very easily. So what's the way forward? Beyond our self-regulation as practitioners, we need to work very hard, and we have been working very hard for more than 10 years, almost 20 years, with the National Assembly to protect all sides. It's not enough to focus, say, women are victims. The practitioners must be protected. What does that mean? You must have reasonable knowledge and skills before you are let loose on the population. The patients themselves must know enough, willing consent, and no fraud, no persuasion, nothing that pushes them beyond what they want, you know, and full information, full disclosure. So do I see any hope on the horizon? My answer is yes. The National Assembly is working very hard.
All right.
The practitioners are also trying.
All
yes.
right, Dr. Wada, but what does the National Health Act say at the moment? Is there anything in that act that talks about this practice?
There is weak reference to gametes, cells, and tissues. It's not very specific, and that's why we are fighting for a law. But it says things like you cannot carry experimentation on embryos and cells. It also says anything to do with donation must be anonymous. It doesn't ban it, don't get me wrong, but it has not polished it to the point that practitioners and the public can really take issues with what is written in the act. So it lumps this reproductive health with blood donation, tissue donation, like organ donation, like kidney donation, whereas it's a very peculiar aspect of practice. So I think separating it, expanding it, and dealing with it will help. So I'm not saying it's silent totally, but it's definitely not enough.
All right, thank you very much. But before I get to Dr. Ejike, let me still ask Dr. Wada.
Okay.
Are there ethical questions that arise from commercialization of this reproductive health?
Yes. Too many. What the provision is in our own guideline is that you cannot be cajoled, you cannot be exploited. It's not a commercial venture. You must understand what you want to do to part with your eggs, how it's going to be done, what harms can come to you. You can be compensated. You should be compensated. But it's not the compensation that's making you do the act. We have a duty to make sure you understand what you want to do. You want to do it. And then say, okay, it's not, okay, the money we're going to pay you is this amount. We're going to say, okay, if you're going to do this, you'll be out of work for a certain period. You will be unable to earn. If you're doing surrogacy, for example, you cannot be in your home, in your community where everybody knows you.
But it doesn't apply to sperm donors, for instance.
No, the sperm donor is an easier lot of it. Commercializing sperm donors is what they do is they pay you your transport money and the time that you've spent doing that, not like a woman who has to go through 2 weeks or 3 weeks process or even 9 months process in terms of surrogacy. So the word commercialization is frowned on all over the world. Abuse means commercialization. So what is reasonable compensation for coming up and down? You have to pay transport, for example. You have to eat. You cannot be at work at that period. Those are the sensible calculations that are done to protect the patient, because we are not in a society where you are paid a salary just for being a citizen. You can do that. Altruistic donation, total, no money exchange, nothing, because the government pays you once you are 18 to live. But here, it's not the same. So we have to modify our way about it. So what is reasonable compensation for this patient or woman who is carrying another person's baby for 9 months, must relocate, needs accommodation, must have health care, antenatal care, must have, cannot go to work. Those are the components that we look at. So you cannot shake hands and say you've done this in our society and move on. You can do that in England because the person is already fully paid as a salary earner, whether they're working or not.
Or not. All right, many thanks, Dr. Wada. I would pause you a bit, and while we're speaking, we had joined us Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, Special Advisor to the President in Health. Many thanks for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and good morning, Nigeria.
All right, so you have actually confirmed that Dr. Oji is a woman's man. Yes. We talked about that much earlier, about his 5 million.
5 million.
Okay, and he's been sandwiched by 2 women this morning, so fantastic. But, Dr. Oji, back to the conversation. Dr. Wada has laid a background about all of this, but speak to us about why this market is growing at this time. I mean, in the past, rarely would you hear about people donating eggs, surrogacy, and all of that. What really are the issues?
I think the fundamental thing here is human beings do not live in a vacuum. We're a product of our environment. And then at any point in time, survival is the most important thing for a human being. Most of the young people, for us, in the development sector, in terms of reproductive health and all that, let's focus a little bit on population. Nigeria, at independence, we were about 45.2 million. As we speak now, we're estimating that our population is 226 million. England, that colonized us, was 50 million, 50 point something million at independence. England is about 64 million now. So you can see the difference. Now, the population explosion we have has made it, has kind of redefined our population structure. 74% of our population is under the age of 34. So we have a highly dependent population. In fact, 15% of the population is what is taking care of 85% of the population. So what am I trying to paint here? So we have a youthful bulge, which we have not planned for, which we're not doing anything for, and they're on their own, so to speak. Nigeria has the highest out-of-school children in the world. This started about 4 or 5 years ago. Nigeria is contributing 28% of maternal mortality to the world. Meanwhile, we'll contribute less than 3% of the world. So I'm painting a picture of the environment you see these young people. And most of them cannot afford 3 square meals a day. So, like I said, human beings must survive. They look for things to do. Before, people used to say young women go into prostitution to have money, to do things. Now, how many people can prostitute really and make good money in terms of that kind of thinking? So people are looking for ways of surviving. And part of it is some of these things that we're seeing. I'm glad that Dr. Wada is here because that is his sector.
He started this well about 30 years ago. I remember in the 90s when he started, he came back from England. I was working with him because I knew, as a reproductive health expert, I knew there was a big gap. Nigerian women, yes, our population is developing, but there are also women who could not have babies and needed to be supported. Now, also looking at the resource gap, maybe just about 2 or 3% of Nigerians are the people actually controlling the whole wealth of the country. So the rest. And then some of us who are students and this sort of Maslow's law of hierarchy of needs. If you look at the base, which is physiological need, food, air, water, more than 80% of Nigerians are at that level. They want food today, not tomorrow. Don't talk about tomorrow for me. I want to eat today. So anything they see is an opportunity. So, and the people who want these babies have money.
So does that say that the infertility rate has increased?
It's a function of the population. Remember, even if you say it's 2% of the population and the population has grown, that the numbers involved would have also grown. You get the point? Yes. So it's also growing in terms of numbers. The percentage might be the same with other parts of the world, but the real human beings have also grown. You know, when we say maternal mortality is now, some people are saying it's 1,000 per 100,000 live births. Okay? Now, that is the rate. But we now use it, multiply with the population, then you see the numbers. So the same thing is happening here. There are more Nigerians, so that percentage that have infertility is also growing. And those ones that have money, they want to do anything to have babies. The average, our CPR, our fertility rate is now 4.8. What is 4.8? In fact, our fertility rate has not really changed, even though we have some reductions in terms of percentage of the numbers. If you say 4.8, you can't have 0.8 of a human being. So you're actually saying that it's 5 children per woman. If you say it's 5.5, it's still the same. If it's 5.4, it's 5 children. It's 5.6, it's 6 children. So the numbers, the absolute numbers of Nigerians who will also need this sort of services have increased. So for people who look for opportunities, a better opportunity for survival. What do I do to make money? I'm young, I can produce eggs. I'm young, I can produce sperms. And then, you know, for them that are in the infertility business, if a woman approaches 40, they will be very, very reluctant to harvest that woman's egg because the chances of abnormality will increase. The Down syndrome, once a woman gets to up to 40 years and starts trying to have a baby, the possibility of having a Down syndrome is very high. Very high. So the market is actually the young people.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ejike. Just following from where you are, Dr. Anas, welcome. And I'm wondering, many unmarried girls are now secretly embracing family planning. What does this say of them, the society, the family they come from? Does this signal progress or failure of parental and social support system?
Thank you very much. A very sensitive one, but I have to be very objective, you know, as a public health and also someone that is in the business of saving lives. So I will say it's a progress because these young girls are well informed. In the past, they don't have information. They don't have access to services. So most of the time, they become a victim of unwanted pregnancies. And then I remember growing up, a lot of girls have dropped out of secondary schools, and that is the end of their education. And also, even at university levels, a lot of girls have become victims of what we call the quacks, yes. You know, doing abortions, which is becoming very uncommon now. Yes. Because they don't know who is the right person to reach when they become victims of unwanted pregnancy. So they cannot just access anything that is available to them in their communities. And most of these are not skilled, you know, healthcare providers. They are not medical professionals, and then they just do conduct any kind of abortion to them, and they end up with sepsis, infections, or at the end of the day, they can never be able to have a child in the future. So I look at it as a way that they have access, they are beginning to have access to information. And this is something that Nigeria started working on for a long time, because others will look at it on the other side, that providing information to young people, you are telling them to go and have sex. It's not so, because there are several platforms. If you don't give them the right information, the accurate information, appropriate information, they will access it everywhere. The social media now is there. Their friends can tell them the wrong information. So this journey started almost like 30 years ago, if I may recall, where we started talking about integration of family life education into our school curriculum. And this Ministry of Health has been working assiduously as of that time in collaboration with Ministry of Education. Some states were able to do that. A lot of states have not been able to do that due to resistance, due to misconceptions. But the effort is still ongoing. So one might look at it positively and say that, yes, Nigeria is making progress, because young people are now asking questions. Young people are accessing information everywhere. And for us, we've made our healthcare providers, our health facilities very friendly. You know, it used to be very unfriendly to young people. When a young girl, especially unmarried girl, come to ask for information, what they meet is hostility by healthcare providers. Why are you here? This is not a place for you.
Dr. Anas, are you saying that having girls less than 18 use contraceptives is making progress, you know, for a country like Nigeria? And speak to us, as a medical practitioner yourself, are there no health implications of using contraceptives that early in life?
So using the health contraception, whether you are 18 or above 18, it has no different implications, just like for any other woman. There is no special implications of using it early or not early. I mean, what is most important is that you gain the benefits of using family planning commodities that are available to all women. So you see, when we look at it, and it's an integral part of our effort to achieve universal healthcare coverage, just like I enumerated the risk of not using it versus the risk of using the benefits of using it. So it's more beneficial for a girl to use it rather than to fall victims, you know, of unwanted pregnancy.
When you
not
talk
just
about use it without the
risk.
consent of their parents, or use it with the consent of parents. What is?
So this is something that we have really gone through and debated, and have also involved stakeholders, including religious leaders in this journey. So we have an age now that we say minors. When you are below 13 years, you must have consent of your parents. And there are policy documents that were developed led by the Federal Ministry of Health in collaboration with all the various stakeholders, as I said, including Ministry of Education, Justice, and also various stakeholders like religious leaders. So we reach a level that at the age of 13, some argued 15 years, you must have consent of your parents. But if you are above that, you should be able to take a decision when you are well informed, well guided in terms of what you need to do. So of course, we are not, at his earlier say, we are not working in a vacuum. We are not in Nigeria, and every girl is also in a society, in a community that is also controlled and influenced by several factors, including religious factors. But what we are saying is that let everyone be well informed to be able to take the right decision at the right time, rather than being victims of ill health as a result of complications of unwanted pregnancies, or curtailing their future progress.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anas. Let me get back to Dr. Wada. Dr. Wada, you are a pioneer in this setup. So what have you found, you know, through the years? The way it was 5 years ago, it's not the way it is now. It's not the way it was 10 years ago. And so what would you say is driving the increasing demand for procedures like IVF, sperm donation, egg harvesting? What would you say you have found to be the driving force?
I think the interest is on both sides. One, the public themselves more aware that there are solutions to seemingly intractable infertility. In other words, in the past you say, oh, you're already 45, no hope. End of story for you. You don't have a child, you're going to leave this world without a child. But today you are aware that something can be done about that. So that demand side is increasing with awareness, with probably boldness, because you have seen results on the streets already. So you want to solve your own problem. The second side is the supply side. The women, the men, their awareness is increasing. I dare say that approximately half, from my experience, are in it because they need new clothes, they need fashion and other things. The other half have a genuine reason for entering this arrangement. The growth is probably there's a tendency to the half tilting towards the more, I need some help, therefore I'm going to do this. When we started, it was not like that. It was few people, and we could see the genuine effort. I mean, people saying, I want to help somebody who cannot carry her own baby. I'm ready to do 9 months of my life trying to support them. But the field is saturated now on both sides, demand and supply. Why we need the law is to create a balance. So neither the supply side is exploited, nor the demand side is exploited.
But are you ruling out economic, reasons?
Yeah, economic reason is appearing more. It's trying to tilt the balance from half genuine wish to help to more what can I benefit. So I'm not ruling it out. I'm thinking the pressure is driving the thing, and that's why we are talking about it. If it was remained where we started many, many years ago, then there would be less talk about protecting both sides.
All right.
So I agree with you.
Many thanks, Dr. Wada. Let's get back to Dr. Orji. In all of this, you spoke about economic reasons, poverty being a fuel, for these practices. But let's look at it from the point of the medical personnel themselves. Like Dr. Wada tried to say, there are a lot of people who have gone into this business. It's a business for them. Mm-hmm. Some have clinics or hospitals where they even house girls who conceive, have babies, and all of that. And we've heard stories of medical personnel who now inject women, tell them they are pregnant, they shouldn't go for scan. There's some stories about, fake pregnancies here and the cryptic pregnancies. Okay, thank you, doctor. Cryptic pregnancies. And, they have houses where they keep girls, get their babies and all of that. Talk about on the part of medical personnel. Are we losing it? Are the medical personnel who are in this field, are they what's driving them? Is it money? Is it are they really concerned about people having babies, or it's just a way to make themselves rich?
What did you say? Cryptic pregnancy.
Yes.
It's money.
It's money.
They're looking for money. They're not helping anybody. They are
deceiving
quacks.
people.
Quacks. We've been talking about quacks for a very long time in Nigeria. In fact, the National Health Act, he mentioned, I was part of fighting for that act. The reason was that the whole there was no regulation.
Absolutely.
Now, remember when the act was done, things like infertility management was just a thing that is here and there. Like you say, he was one of the pioneers. I remember I was so moved when he started. I worked with him without any fear, going around the whole of Nigeria. Because I said to him, when it comes to infertility, there are 3 levels. One, people who you have to do an implantation of egg, which is the IVF. Yes, IVF.
Yes.
Then the other one is people you have to manage their being together. When a man is married, he's in Lagos, his wife is here, for a whole year they won't see each other, they say they are cohabiting. How the hell are you going to have a baby? You need to manage those ones. Then there are ones also that you have to be told what to do, even doing the act to get it. So there's a spectrum. And then so what I told him, that what you're doing is very, very pioneering, and we must make sure that everybody who has that need gets to have a baby. And what we did at that time was, yes, you sit in your office, people come with IVF, but since that's the spectrum, why don't we go and preach you teach young doctors all over Nigeria to do that lower level spectrum. The ones that will come to you will be the full IVF. That's how we started this conversation. And we started. And I thank him too for that. And he should thank me too.
Yes.
Because we evangelized it. Yes,
we did.
We evangelized
We
it.
did.
So
Training.
doctors were now doing the spectrum, lower spectrum they can manage. When it comes to real vivid IVF, they sent to him. So his patient load increased. But the important thing here is also giving information, training for doctors to be able to do the other ones. People don't have to go travel down to Abuja and all that.
Correct.
So that was how this all started. But like I said, going back to the National Health Act, some of us also thought there might be a problem. Let us make sure we... Do you know it took us 12 years to pass that act? In fact, the Act and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act were the two things that made me resign my position as a country director of an organization to go and do politics, to go to the parliament and say, what the hell is happening there? 12 years to pass that National Health Act that gave us national health insurance, that gave us basic care provision fund, and then gave us money for emergency care. Because, and how did we do it? I mobilized women like you with two of my colleagues, 5,000 women to march the National Assembly. You get the point. So going back to exactly what we were saying in terms of, is it money driving them? Of course it's money. It's money. He is making money, but he's doing it in a proper way. And a lot of people are gaining.
Why this number? Those who are looking for money and doing it the wrong way, who are involved in cryptic pregnancies, those are harvesting eggs, without properly educating the girls and all of that. Why is that number increasing? No regulation?
That is it. Part of the... Is human beings, if you don't put proper laws to stop them, they'll stop at nothing. Even if it's in America or England or Europe, regulation, laws are the things that stop people from going beyond what they're supposed to do. And then the environment of everything goes. We've been shouting for 20 years that this country is going down, 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 down. Nobody listened. So the hens have come to roost now. You get the point. So one is the economic situation of the country. Let me give you an example. 10 years ago, our GDP was, our income per capita was at 2,600. It's come down to 824. There's nowhere in the world that you have that kind of crash. So the ability of the average Nigerian to earn money to take care of himself or herself has dropped so
including doctors, despite their oaths.
Including doctors. That's why they are japaing. That's why they are leaving the country. So the ones that are here, for them to make reasonable income that can support the high cost of things, that means they have to go beyond what they know. And what do? They do it illegally, because once you are a doctor or a medical personnel, you do things beyond the level of what you're supposed to. You are now a quack, even though you're a physician.
Absolutely.
You're now a quack, and what you're doing is criminal. And then because the driving force is not for common good, the driving force is financial benefits. That means all the rules and regulations and oath that we took is taken aside because you want to harvest money.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jikoji. Dr. Anas, as a policy strategist, I mean, you were in public service, now you're a presidential advisor. How does government view these emerging trends? Women selling their eggs, men selling their sperm, and all whatnot. How does government view it currently?
So thank you so much. Of course, government, let me start by saying the Renewed Hope Health Agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have priorities, we have vision, we have priorities. And one of the vision is to ensure that Nigerians, the major broad goal is to ensure that Nigerians have access to quality healthcare services. We attain the universal healthcare coverage, leaving no one behind, including women that are suffering infertility, even though they constitute small, significant portion of the population, but they will not be left behind. And how do we do that? We want to guarantee quality services. Capacities are available. Modern technology are also available. We also improve our infrastructure, especially at tertiary institutions, but at the same time, even at the basic level. to be able to address the two aspects that he said, which is mainly about early detection and prevention of the infertility. So this is to say that the current government administration under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is totally against it, because as he clearly mentioned, it's a criminality within the health sector practice. It's not acceptable, and efforts are ongoing to regulate that in collaboration with several other stakeholders, especially the Ministry of Justice. As I'm speaking to you, there is a committee that is already set up to ensure that we regulate. There are ethical committees also that have been set up under the Ministry of Health to regulate such practices. But it's not done alone, as I said. You know, Ministry of Health is just one part of the piece of it to regulate. We must work with the regulatory agencies, because there must be early detection. Somebody must report it, as I say, as they say, you know, when you see, you see and you say it. You don't see, and so it requires for you to see and say it. It requires also community awareness creation, because they might feel it's also normal. But when the community sees where these girls are kept, and then they are being harvested, they are made to be pregnant illegally, and then the babies are taken and then distributed, I would say, because we've met children that have been imported from the southern east of the country to the northern eastern part of the country. It's totally illegal. So it's a teamwork, it's a collective responsibility. Somebody must report it. Action must be taken. So the police plays a very critical role in that. The community people plays a very critical role in that. And then the justice system of this country plays a critical role. So in a nutshell, I would say government is totally against such practices, and efforts are ongoing to curtail it.
All right, Dr. Wada, I'll get back to you. Earlier, Dr. Anna said, you know, there are no health implications of using contraceptives early. But I know that I've met women who have complained about secondary infertility as a result of contraceptives. Speak to us really about contraceptives use, if it has implications on the health of women, and about egg donation. Are there health risk of, you know, egg donation, and then what are the limits?
Thank you. First, what Dr. Anna said is true. Manipulating the hormones of an 18-year-old woman is the same as manipulating the hormones of a 30-something-year-old woman. So there is nothing like, you know, you can't use contraception before this age and so on. So I need to clear that. But whether you are 18 or you are 30, there is nothing man has done that doesn't have side effects. So that applies to contraceptive hormones and even devices in particular. So if you're using like the combined pill, for example, has estrogen and progesterone, there are risks with it. Short term, like putting on weight, people are like, oh, I'm adding weight. That's common too, whether you're young or old. Oh, is there a tendency to high blood pressure because of the estrogen component? Do I have a long-term risk of breast cancer or other long-term diseases? I think, you know, it's just to emphasize, so people are not scared, oh, I cannot use contraceptives before I'm 20 or 30. There's no such thing like that. I have to emphatically say that. So if you're using device contraceptive like intrauterine contraceptive device, that also carries problems of sometimes your menses is increased, your risk of pelvic infection is increased. But again, we manage that by regular checks on the people. So we can live, it's part of reproductive health, no doubt, but prevention is better than cure. Emphasize 10 times what Dr. Anas has said. Prevention is better than cure. We are no longer in the society where everything a young girl knows is what the mother said or what the father or uncle or auntie said. The world is a village now.
So are you saying that contraceptives cannot lead to infertility? Is that what you're saying?
There's a very small risk of that, but not pills. As people have said, oh, I took the pill for 6 months, now I cannot conceive. It's not the pill's fault. It is your hormones will be like that because there are people who have the same complaint who have never used the pill before. So let's not be scared thinking, okay, if I manipulate my hormones to prevent ovulation, I will have long-term consequences other than the diseases I've mentioned. It is not a fertility challenge that's your problem. Okay?
Right. What about the egg donation?
I say that with clear authority as a gynecologist.
Egg donation, health risk?
Egg donation, whether you are donating eggs or you are participating in IVF, the risks are the same. So the act of donating your eggs carries the same weight as you, as a woman, wanting to go through IVF for your own pregnancy. And what are those risks? Short term, there's what we call ovarian hyperstimulation. They are young. We give you a small dose, appropriate dose of the medication. Your body produces more eggs than we want. We are looking for somewhere between 6 and 12 eggs, generally. But you give the same dose to lady A, she produces appropriate. The same dose to her age mate or type mate, she will double the production. So that risk health, overproduction of this can lead to many complications, yeah? And some people have actually paid with their lives for that kind of thing, whether they are doing IVF or egg donating. So egg donation is not a serious risk on its own. What is serious about it is because you are motivated by economic reasons, you donate in clinic A, you run to clinic B, it becomes a daily affair. That exposes you to risk because every time we're putting a needle into your ovary, infection can happen. There is also the possibility that you may achieve menopause sooner because this is an unnatural way. You are recruiting so many eggs every month by force. So your egg bank, egg store in you may deplete faster before you get to your, the 50s or mid-40s.
All right.
Those are the ways I look at it. But please let the world know. And again, you don't walk to a shelf and buy a pill. Ideally, you should see a doctor to weigh who you are, what is appropriate for you, so that you're not carrying undue risk.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wada. But let me say that you can send in your messages, whether you have questions or you have comments, you can send them in. The phone number is displayed there. Send via WhatsApp. Let's have your name. Make it short so that we can take it. And let us know where you are writing from. Now, Dr. Ejike Orji, there is a social dimension to all of this. What does the availability of these technologies say about our traditional ideas about family, traditional ideas about parenthood and about marriage?
Well, that's a very tricky question. The reason why I say it's a tricky question is that human beings were evolving. The society is evolving. The things that were sacrosanct 30, 40 years ago, because of new knowledge, because of better understanding, those things are changing. In those days, a young lady is not supposed to have sex until she's married. Mm-hmm. And then if the parents find out that that has happened, there's a serious sanction by the community. In fact, where I come from, if you have extramarital sex and it's discovered, they use your name to sing in the market square. Mm-hmm. So everybody,
no longer now.
Everybody knows that you've done it. All right? But if you do it now, and they know you might be sued for harassment. Mm-hmm. You get the point. So the onus have now gone from the individuals to the society to be able to control what we are doing in a more rigid way, not even the parents anymore. Most parents cannot control their children. The reason is that the quality person time we spend with our children is not the same with the quality human being time our parents spend with us. In the morning, I'm off to work. My wife is off to work. The children are left with house girls when they were young. The woman probably comes back earlier than the man. So at the end of the day, that exposure is reduced. And those values that was put in us, we didn't have the opportunity to put the same values to our children, not because we didn't want to, because of time constraints. So all this is happening in our society. And then the greatest disruptor of our traditional systems is technology. That's the biggest disruptor. Yes. And then the social media has completely shattered everything. I knew that 20 years ago. I knew that 20 years ago is what was going to happen. So myself, I turned 70 just last month. You get the point. I'm in the 7th floor, so you celebrate me. But, you know, I started investing my time, my knowledge in technology because I know that is the future. Like I said, I told I'm a convener of 35 million women database. Part of what I'm doing is that women should know that technology is the future. So in our platform, in our dashboard, there's a technology component that will build women's technological know-how. It's part of that understanding what is going on. You hear some women say, I'm not in the social media, I don't want to be in the social media. How the hell will you know what your daughter is doing? So parenting has gone off from person only. It's also gone on to the social media platform. Once you follow your daughter knows you are following her. She will know, she will reduce what she posts.
They now block their parents. That's the new trend.
So,
of course.
Now when you have blocked your
You can't
parents,
see them.
then there's a consequence. The carrots and this thing. Oh, you blocked me. Okay, that's your pocket money you're getting. You're not going to get it anymore. You must find a way. Or you might have to sit down your child and say, why did you block me? There must be a reason why you blocked. There will be a conversation. Before, if you are not on that social media platform, you will never know what he or she is doing. So these are some of the new trends that are coming, and it's technology is disrupted, and it's going to disrupt more. In the next 10 to 20 years, if you are not technologically enhanced, you'll be out of job. In 2019, I led 3 other consultants. She was there. Okay. We worked with the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies because the president at the time sent a memo to them and said they should develop recommendations to him to look at population growth challenges and human capital development. So the directing staff called me and said, please, you have to come. The president has heard your big mouth on population. Yeah. Come with 3 other consultants. Let us develop this thing. So we developed, shared the national policy on population should be revamped. And then made 12 recommendations, including the future of job. And what is the major inclusion in the future of job is building the technological know-how of our youth. So technology is disrupting everything.
But negatively, more negatively, right?
Well, it depends on how do you want to look at it. In my women platform, they have a chatbot for a medic, an AI medic. They also have, you can call a doctor who can be 10,000 kilometers away. That is not positive. That patient wouldn't have had anything near a doctor.
It is negative because you don't have men on that platform. Anyways, we'll get back to you.
The men provide the services.
Dr. Haji, we'll get back to you. Fantastic work you're doing, for the women, and you should be applauded. Really, you are a he for she, concerned about the development of women in the country, and I'm sure Dr. Anas is taking notes. So the next word, of course, you know where you should direct it to. But Dr. Anas, I want to get to you. I want you to speak about our values as women. You're a mother. You're a sister. And growing up, I mean, you're not in this generation, so you know what it was like those days. Now, where do you think we're headed in the next few years with the trends? And do you think we should allow it to grow, or we should tame some of these emerging trends?
So I will continue from where he stopped. We are technologically driven at the moment, and there is no option but for us to align and be part of that journey so that we don't isolate ourselves. Because just like he rightly mentioned, there's a huge gap between my generation and even my children's generation, because everything is about technology. So women also have to align with it. It's not a difficult thing to do. I saw a 90-year-old that is so knowledgeable about technology. I just don't want to mention the person's name, but a very prominent Nigerian who is on top of the game. So it's not something that we are so scared of that we cannot touch, because it's like you are isolating yourselves. and you cannot make contribution, you cannot also influence the values that you want to inculcate in the next generation. But if you become part of it, then you will be able to have a dialogue, you will be able to interact with them. So I always encourage women, whether you are highly educated or uneducated, because most women in Nigeria, whether educated, you have the phones. You have the phones. So you need to know how to use your phone. I must mention my mother, who is almost 80 years plus, because of my children. She's so knowledgeable. She's on social media. She's on Facebook. They put her on Instagram. Because that's how she wants to be part of it. And she's really with them. They are having a conversation. So we can't isolate ourselves. And when it comes to healthcare delivery, just like he has mentioned, of course, there are positive and there are negatives. But you can divert the attention and make it a positive gain, because it improves access to healthcare services, just like he said. A woman living in a very remote community, just with the phone, should be able to access services, should be able to access the right information. And we saw this played out very well during the COVID-19 pandemic, when Nigeria was grounded, just like every other country in the world. We could not even transport family planning commodities because of the lockdown, exactly. So we were able to get people, healthcare providers in very remote communities, to train them as of that time, to train them of use of personal protective measures, to be able to use. And I was surprised, because once we called them, we sent 3,000 naira for data, and they are all online. So we realized that even the quality of training was much better. We have reduced the cost of transportation, the money we would have spent in hotels. It has played out so well.
In this training, can we also adopt this technology you're talking about to train the next generation? I'm talking about the young girls who are coming up, so that they are not exposed to some of the negative things, about their reproductive health online, such that the training that you got from your mother was still able to pass it on to the younger girl.
This is exactly what I'm saying. So we can't isolate. We have to key into the new knowledge, the new journey of technology, so that we can also train them. We can also inculcate the values. And that is the best way. That's the only way they can listen to you. Because the contact, he said, it has greatly reduced between parents and children at the moment, because of the exigence of things at the moment. You spend more time at work, and then even the education curriculum, the children spend more time in the school than we've spent during our time. So it has reduced that. So the best way is to do that through technology, communicate with them, create forum for education, and then they will key into it. And this has worked, and we have seen it work in several others, even including the interventions currently. One of the things that has also the success stories in the health sector is HIV intervention. Nigeria has recorded a lot of success. Today, we are even passing a lot of information through technology, through the social media, education. We are planning, we have already started talking about how do we get young people, because of the recent trend that we are seeing among young people, increase in hypertensive cases, cardiac diseases that were not common, or ill health that were not common. Renal, kidney problems, let me put it that way, diabetes and cancers. So how do we reach young people? It has to be through technology. It has to be through social media. That is the only way they can listen to you. They can pick their phone, get information. How do we help them to change their lifestyle and adopt healthy lifestyles? And these are the approaches that we are adopting. Today we are working with a lot of young people, doing a lot of advocacy, passing a lot of information through the social media platform. So I would say we have no option but to key in. It's not like the generation of our mothers. Even grandmothers are now keying into it. That is the only way to survive. That is the survival mode for the future.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Anna. Some messages have come in. Just before we go on break, let's see if we can take some of these messages. Now, coming to infertility, what is the best way to identify the cause? Can someone who has infertility issues identify it without any medical checkup? Are there any signs? Well, no name. From Arabic Kende Paul. It's a topic that cuts across religion and culture, but it's the new reality, especially with dwindling fertility. This sector needs more regulation and support of recognized IVF centers. And he writes in from Life Camp Abuja. Akeju Olagbaju says, I think the National Health Act is not very clear on egg and sperm donors. Is it illegal or legal? Shouldn't the donor be compensated in any form or the other, since there is risk attached to it? I also recommend a good regulation to monitor it. I think he missed the part where Dr. Wada talked about that. And then good morning from Kasim Umar in Kanu. Apart from having relevant regulations, it is pertinent to have robust enforcement. Otherwise, the desired results would not be achieved. Yemre, you have some?
Yes, I have a number of messages, but I can hear the director say we should pause for a break. So I'll take my messages when we return after that break. Stay with us.
Well, creativity is so broad. I would say whatever it is that you're creative about, it takes a lot of practice before you become very good. So if it's something you intend to pursue, it's something you have to keep doing. You have to keep practicing. It's not going to be an overnight success, which a lot of people look for. But if it's something you're determined about, but the drawback rather, is that you need what is called staying power. While you're developing your creativity, you need to earn a living. So I know that's where the conflict usually comes in, especially with the hardship in the country and all that. But I think a lot of encouragement from the private sector to create incubator hubs. We've had some of those in tech. We need those across various sectors as well. Incubator hubs where these ideas can come in, be developed, be encouraged, be funded, and then we can expand it from there.
Content creation, while it may sometimes get a bad rap, I think it's actually very important because we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves living our lives. We have to show and share our stories. I think that's very important. Now, the job after that is to be able to digitize those stories into something that can provide data and insights, that can ensure that we can be able to support whole-scale industry in these spaces, to ensure that the amount of money that each content creator is getting exceeds what is currently happening for many content creators. The same content creator who lives in Nigeria will be earning less than a content creator who's living in the US or the UK or Japan. And we've got to also bridge that gap because most of that is being driven by the ability of the consumers to pay for those goods, and also the pricing that many of these platforms have. So I think this is not the job for the content creators and the young people. This is a job for people like myself in the ecosystem who can help support the right pricing, to advocate for the right policies, to support economic development for consumers who want to consume that information and that content. And even beyond content creation, we're seeing that many people are stepping in behind the camera. They are producers, editorial, they are graphic designers, they are in technology, but maybe not in front of the camera. And what we want to say is also, we need those people too. We need those stakeholders involved. And the job of many policymakers, DFIs, is to ensure that the strategic investments get there, the collaboration gets there, and we're deliberate in how we're saying we want to support innovation in our continent.
There's an age group where your brain function is at its maximum, and that's the age group we call the youth, isn't it? So we need the youth, the younger generation who have the energy, the imagination to be equipped with the proper education, the proper tools, the proper encouragement, and then take what innovation they bring out and turn it into mainstream developmental ideas. So you find a lot of things that are invented by people in school or straight out of school. We need our patent laws to work so that they can earn a living from their imagination. Once the imagination is just for a one-year festival or an event, then it's not worth it. Somebody creates something, we need to get our patent laws to work, we need to enforce them, and then the private sector can use those patents to develop things and encourage more people to be more creative. Back in the days, yes, you had to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. Today we have programmers, we have AI specialists, we have people that are doing ethics on genetics. Those things didn't exist 50 years ago. So there are new areas that need to be explored. The question really, apart from the parenting, does our educational curriculum cater for what the needs of the world will be in the next generation? Because our curriculum is dealing with the issues of the past. We need the government and the private sector to redo the entire educational curriculum to be forward focused, not retroactive.
All right, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. Very educative program. We're talking about emerging trends in reproductive health, and our doctors are still very much with us. Before the break, I was about to take some of the messages we've got. The number is on your screen, just in case you want to send in your comments or questions as regards the topic. I'll just take a few of the messages I have. This one says, Good morning, Nigeria. Many people are facing infertility challenges. In my opinion, the government needs to sponsor treatment programs and send support to various local governments to help those affected. This is important because many people have identified their health problems but lack the means of proper treatment. Another one says, Good morning. This is a nice topic. I prefer to be anonymous. I'm married for 20 years, 53 years of age. My wife is 48. Because of fibroid, there's no pregnancy. We have sought medical assistance right from year one of our marriage without no solution. But no way. So we have left it in the hands of God. Many couples are suffering because of this. Government should do something. Another one says, this is Abubakar from Lagos. Can surrogate mothers share in donors' DNA? Doctor, I'm sure maybe you understand that question. Another one says, Good morning. I'm Evelyn. Why is it that the menopausal age is drawing closer in this generation? Good morning, doctors. What are the long-term effects and risk factors of having an IVF? That's coming. You didn't give your name, but you say you're from Kurudu in Abuja. This one says, Good morning. It will be fine from Onitsha. Thanks for this program. More of it, please. But I'm not quite convinced about the idea of using contraceptives at the age of 18. To me, the information is wrong. Thanks.
All right, I have two more, and this one reads, my name is Precious, and I'm texting from Benin City. I have been having irregular periods for more than 15 years of my life. Sometimes it takes 42 cycle, 50 cycle, or it doesn't come for as long as 2 months. And the last one, Good morning, my name is Haj Hafsat, maybe Haja Hafsat from Abuja. How about negative rhesus? That's in blood transfusions and pregnancies. Any positive solution? Maybe Dr. Wada wants to respond to some of these.
Yes. Thank you. I think one that caught my attention is what are the signs of infertility? Infertility is a time diagnosis. It means that a couple have been trying for, say, 12 months actively. They are not using contraception and they meet fairly regularly, and yet nothing has happened, no pregnancy. So it's not a sign that you can detect, just like that physically. It's just that two people have gotten together for this length of time and no result. How would you know what is the problem? You consult medical personnel.
Can't medical conditions show that you'll be infertile?
Sorry?
Medical conditions.
That will make you infertile?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the number one is problems of the egg and of the sperm. And you can only find that out if you consult a doctor. So you are not producing eggs regularly. Somebody is saying my cycle can be 50, 60 days or so. It's telling us as doctors that she's not releasing eggs regularly. The second one is that the fallopian tubes, which is where the eggs and sperm will meet in the body of the woman, is blocked, so they cannot meet. So that's another major reason. Then you have issues of the lining of the womb or the womb itself. Somebody is talking of fibroids. They can be associated. Generally, those are known factors. It can be from the man whose sperm quality is not good, the woman who is not ovulating, tubes are blocked, or the womb is not hospitable for conception. But then there's even a wider envelope of health. Yeah? So if a woman is diabetic, she's hypertensive, taking all sorts of things, that will weaken her fertility. Age is a factor that is probably more important than anything else I'm trying to say. So if you are, say, 35 at the time of getting married, you don't have much time left, so there's more need to go look. Whether there's something wrong or not, your egg quality, like has been highlighted by Dr. Oji here, it starts going down. Women tend to spend their best eggs when they are young. And as you cross 28, 30, there's the ones that are left, there's now a mix of good and bad. And that mixture tilts towards bad. The nearer 40, 50 you get before the menopause.
You were trying to talk about the fertility cycle for
Yes,
somebody who is
I wanted
married.
to know, so
Could you
what
continue on
could be
that?
the
You said
problem?
after 12 months of trying, you don't conceive. So speak about the different cycles.
The one that talked about 42,
Yeah.
50
I think
cycle.
The,
and
the
even
first
two-
question a doctor will ask that lady is, how old are you? If you're well in your reproductive period, say 35 and below, then there's a hormone imbalance inside you. And one of them is called polycystic ovaries. You have too many eggs already, so there's confusion. When you want to release one egg, there's too much competition and then you don't release. So you pass that cycle. Polycystic ovaries affects about 30% of our women. It's far more common in the Middle East. It's a genetic issue. So, and you see them, sometimes there's hairiness, sometimes periods are irregular, like heavily spaced. On the other hand, you can have, more masculine kind of features, which is extreme. And you may not see your periods for 6 months, sometimes a year, because there's increased predominance of male hormones in the woman. So I say something that women produce male hormones, even men produce female hormones, but in either way, it's suppressed, so it doesn't affect you. But if you have polycystic ovaries, you can produce more testosterone. So you see women with mustache, beard, hair on the chest, things like that. So we can leave it at that.
Does change in frequency of sexual activities also affect the frequency of menstruation of the cycle?
Not related.
For instance, when you are very active in a particular period, it's normal. When you are not, it's abnormal. Does that happen?
Old wives' tales, we call those ones. They are not,
Where did Victor hear that? I mean, Victor is a suspect.
From an old wife. But by the way, how accessible and affordable, because we are talking about embracing these things, how affordable, how accessible are they to the common Nigerian family?
Are we talking of IVF now?
I'm talking about these reproductive procedures.
Well, to be honest, it's the higher ones are concentrated in the big cities, but most of us live in the villages. The level that it should start is the ordinary level doctor, the general practitioner, that's within reach of most villages in Nigeria now. We mustn't be looking at people like me and our level scattered in the big cities. Start somewhere, because, like we said, if there's a small thing detected that can be sorted out in that locality to prevent you needing high tech later on in life, you've benefited. Counseling, guidance, understanding what's wrong early, treating them. Say you have sperm issues and they can handle it at that level, it will not progress to your needing IVF. So I totally agree that the higher the technology you are seeking, the less accessible it is. And we are saying that one of the first challenges I had was this technology must be put in government quickly, because majority of those in Nigeria who will need it cannot go to private. So the first project we did, thank God, was at the National Hospital. And since then, okay, there's IVF, there's all sorts of levels of reproductive technology then, because we didn't want to hide it, we wanted to share it. And so it's there. And from there to many other teaching hospitals, Port Harcourt, Benin, everywhere. Even Lagos has it now.
Okay, many thanks, Dr. Wada. As we begin to round up the conversation, Dr. Oji, I'm sure you want to respond to some of the questions, but I want you to speak about safer ways we can engage in assisted reproduction. Say, for example, freezing of eggs, that's becoming a norm these days. So instead of waiting till you're 40 or when you eventually get married to now begin to look for ways to get pregnant and involved in all this kind of practices that may not be healthy, why don't we promote, say, you're 30, freeze your eggs. So when you want to have kids, you just simply go harvest your eggs, and we don't really have some of these issues. Are there ways around this that we can sanitize this industry, this reproduction industry?
Well, you see, this sort of thing requires a lot of resource. because those the technology and then also the people trained to handle that don't come easy. I'm sure he knows what I'm talking about. So for me, it's a question of when we are going to do it, are we going to properly regulate it? And then are we going to, who is going to support it? Because at the end of the day, the people also who were saying they can't get it today, can they afford to go? Because if you freeze your air, you should be paying for the storage. So that is the problem. I think there's a place in Lagos now. Somebody, they just opened and they were advertising. Saw it on social media. They were advertising. When you look at the room alone, to the cost of keeping that room, not even the equipment. When I looked at the facility, so I think the major problem will be a function of resource.
So what solutions are available to deal with some of these
that's
issues?
Why I'm looking at my sister here. So it's when government is actually like the stakeholder that will be able to look at some of these issues and see how can we fund it. The National Health Act, I think there was some suggestion at the time to support that. That's why when we did, we say 2% of our national federation account, income from the federation account, 2%, minimum 2% of it should be used to do the National Health Act funding. Eventually, the parliament at that time reduced it to 1%. The present government of Asiwaju is taking it back to minimum 2%. If that happens, then a lot of resources can be recruited. And if that is so, then these are some of the areas which is why this conversation we're having today is part of advocacy. I'm sure government is listening. Government is sitting with us. So,
all right.
They should be able to also see in the future how can this be funded. Should it be part of what the National Health Act should put, that basic healthcare provision fund, should we put some of that money there? But it's an act. For you to change, to be frank with you, we make sure we reinforce that basic healthcare provision fund. It must go to the primary healthcare sites. But also, we can, in terms of the guideline, since the money has to be used in the primary healthcare center, so we should be able to put some of these facilities in the primary healthcare centers. But there are certain basic facility provisions. Anywhere you put that, there must be constant electricity. There must be trained personnel to manage it. So it's not a half-assed measure. Otherwise, 4 or 5 years, some woman will come back to get her eggs, and so the eggs have all deteriorated because the facilities are not properly managed.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ejike. Dr. Anas, Dr. Oje has said you are government, so we should call you government now. And in addition to addressing the government issues, I'm just asking, how do we balance religious, cultural, and societal sensitivities with the need, to make family planning and reproductive services more accessible?
Yes, so one of our major objectives is to close gaps. Close gaps in terms of needs and also the services available. So family planning, access to family planning is one of the gaps. And this administration made commitment to close the gaps. So it's an integral part of delivery of reproductive health care services. By the way, I don't know whether we explain what is reproductive health in the beginning of this session. So let me just say what is reproductive health in the first place. So reproductive health, just like we define health, is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. But this time relating to all issues, matters related to reproductive health. Whether sexuality, issues of access to family planning, issues of pregnancies, how many children you want to have, how do you want to have the children. So that is the only way that one can be said that an individual, whether a man or a woman, is in a state of reproductive health. So looking at it, reproductive health is an integral part because, as we say, UHC, universal healthcare coverage, is to reach everyone. And women are prioritized. You cannot, women and men also inclusive in reproductive health, are also prioritized to have access to family planning commodities. And the good thing that this administration has done, which we started since 2012, we committed at the national level to support procurement of family planning commodities because most women are vulnerable. They don't have the purchasing power. They cannot purchase. So it made it free for women of reproductive age to access family planning commodities across the country. And we have continued with this commitment up till date.
Well, it looks like the budget for 2025 is slimmer.
For
family planning.
We have maintained that budget. It's not slimmer. It's still the same.
Considering population.
It's still the same, and we continue to increase on that budget. But the good thing that the government has done this time around is to also make it an integral part of the basic healthcare funding, just like Dr. Ejike mentioned. The basic healthcare funding, which is 1% of the consolidated revenue, to be allocated for health. And the aim is to ensure that it reaches the vulnerable people, which are mainly women, children, and the elderly people. So now family planning is also an item within the BHC. It's a major key item and a major key deliverable. So that funding, in addition to the catalytic funding from government, which is from a different pipeline, we also have another funding from the Basic Healthcare Fund that provides family planning commodities. But these are all commitments at the national level. The subnational level have a lot to do. And we continue to advocate the subnational level also. They should also have a budget line in their health budget. At least we said 1%, isn't it, of commitment of health budget should be dedicated to procurement of
federal
and subnational to family planning. And I'm happy to mention more than 10 states at the moment are already procuring family planning commodities.
Okay. Many thanks, Dr. Anas. We need to round this conversation. I'd like to hear from...
Just to add to the family planning,
in a minute.
The government has also put what they call the disbursement-linked indicators. The PVAC also is putting 5.77 billion for family planning this year. The National Primary Health Agency is going to spend $6 million also on family planning.
All right, great.
So we're very delighted. All we're now talking is the accountable use of that
resources.
Creating awareness.
Dr. Wada, I want you to speak about medical personnel who are involved in this business illegally. What can be done?
Thank you very much. The illegally is probably not the correct word. The correct word is have knowledge. They don't know the whole system. They know a little and think they know all, and they're embarking on things without much control. So we can combat this by training them, which is, my friend has told you about our efforts many years ago to go around the country to enlighten practitioners. So now, thankfully, there is a formal training program for doctors, gynecologists who want to be experts in this assisted reproductive technology. And the West African College has a one-year program where you slot in. You know the length and breadth of it, the ethics of it, and the technology of it. So that is happening. We have trained like 40
if you say it's not illegally,
so
what about pediatricians or orthopedic doctors who go into this kind of thing? Isn't that illegal?
Again, yeah. I've heard of radiologists. I've not heard of pediatricians and all that. And quickly, because we have an association, we're able to pinpoint some of those and get the government to act. The level here is at the medical council and at the state who register practices, who monitor what those practices can or cannot do. So they need to step up their act
and regulate
more
the
than
system.
anything else.
All right, many thanks. We need to round off. Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim Wada, Chief Executive Officer at Nisa Sud Premier and Garaki Hospitals. Many thanks for joining us, and well done. We know the work that you're doing. Of course, Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, Special Advisor to the President on Health. Thank you so much for being our guest. We appreciate your insights. And of course, Dr. Ejike Orji, Chairman Management Committee Association for the Advancement of Family Planning and CSO Focal Point FP 2030, convener 5 Million Women Database. And from the way you look, it shows clearly that if you're surrounded by women, you will look very good, even at old age. Fantastic. All right, so thank you very much for being our guest. That's Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. I'm Ian Ray John. Live locked on the NTA.
And I'm Victor Azu. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again on Monday.